Live by the woke sword, die by the woke sword. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Rachel Nichols of ESPN possibly not being at ESPN for too much longer. Now, before I even launch into it, I just want to say this straight away, just so you know where I'm at and where I'm coming from. I never liked Rachel Nichols. You know, I don't know her personally. I'm just a normie, casual observer watching television. I never liked her on ESPN. It always felt kind of weird, kind of forced, just kind of strange because the show that she was on called The Jump, it was just awkward seeing her with some former basketball players talking about, NBA stuff. It's like, give me some former basketball players, coaches, guys that are actually in the game, play the game, that understand the game. I'm not saying she doesn't understand the game, but to me, it's like having the weather lady chime in on what's happening with X's and O's in basketball. It was just really weird for me. So I never liked her on ESPN. I felt like it was kind of just, I don't know, it was weird. And then one time, I just happened to scroll across ESPN. I don't watch them too much anymore. I mean, it might be a game one I really want to watch. If it's my boys, Milwaukee Bucks, and they playing the game and it's a good game, I watch ESPN for that. But I try to tune out the segments in between, the halftime show and little quips from the announcers. But I digress. I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole. Anyway, if I must watch them, I watch them, but I try to avoid them. However, I may just happen to skim across ESPN. And one day I did that, and I saw Rachel Nichols with two other women. It was like, okay, what am I watching? Am I watching ESPN or am I watching a cooking show? Is this Top Chef? Are they going to quit a blanket for me? What's going on? Call me sexist, call me whatever. But it just kind of seems weird when you're watching men's basketball and you have these middle-aged white ladies commenting on it. It's like, I don't really understand. None of you guys have played basketball. I could almost understand if it was like a Sue Bird or somebody like that, a WNBA player. That might make more sense rather than these random journalists that do not play the game and have not played the game. So I never liked Rachel Nichols on ESPN. Just put it to you like that. But let's get to what's happening right now with her employment with ESPN. Now, she has been taken off all NBA programming effective immediately at the network. So she won't be doing any kind of announcing. None of that. That's done. The show that she had called The Jump, that show is being canceled completely. They're taking her off the show a few days ago, as far as I know. After taking her off the show and replacing her with somebody else, they didn't just canceled it. And I say, about time. I never liked that show. That show was always trash. ESPN has been really bad for a really long time. And I think Rachel Nichols just trying to get rid of her. I'm not sure if it's going to fix it, but I'm kind of, for one, glad that she's gone. And the reason why she's gone is because of the whole Maria Taylor kerfuffle. Remember that? Remember when they caught Rachel Nichols on the audio tape without her knowledge? She was being recorded because I think what happened was during this pandemic, Rachel Nichols did a remote hit for ESPN from a hotel room during the bubble when the NBA guys all went to Orlando to play basketball. And the point was, we're going to stay right here in this one place. We won't go anywhere else. We won't be traveling so much. So we're going to reduce the chances of catching the virus. That was the whole thing. So I think she was reporting from there in the bubble, from the hotel room. And after the ESPN hit was over, she forgot to stop recording on the camera that she had going to ESPN. And she hopped on the call with somebody else. And the person that she hopped on the call with was, I think his name is Adam Mendelson. If I'm wrong about his name, let me know in the comments. But Adam Mendelson is, or was, I'm not sure if he still is, a high-level guy and an advisor to LeBron James. She's talking to Adam, trying to get an interview with LeBron and Anthony Davis, who is LeBron James' teammate and also LeBron's Clutch Sports colleague because they have the same agent, Rich Paul, but that's a different story. Anyway, she's trying to get the interview, and in the midst of her talking, just a little small talk, she's talking about how ESPN took the NBA Finals hosting job from her and then gave it to Maria Taylor, and she shouldn't have this because she's black and all this and that, saying she understands about, girl power and you got to have minorities, but check it out. Don't take my stuff from me to give it to her because she's a minority. So that audio came out. It was a whole big firestorm, and it's caused what's happened right now. Now, some are going to say, well, look, she was recorded without her knowledge, all this, that, and the third. Well, so what? I mean, you said what you said. I mean, it is what it is. So it's out there now. So if you didn't live by the woke sword, you could just use that excuse. You know what? I was recorded without my knowledge. I don't appreciate that. My privacy was invaded. That it shouldn't have happened. Okay, maybe you can use that excuse if you don't live by the woke sword. But the culture of wokeness does not really acknowledge stuff like that. So what? You're recorded without your knowledge. I don't care. You said what you said. Now you got to be held accountable. And it's funny, though, because what she said is how a lot of these liberals feel, especially the white liberals. They want to be all virtuous and down for the black man, all this and that. That's how they really feel. It's all good when someone else loses their job or does not get admitted into college. Speaking about the Asians at Harvard and stuff like that are suing the college because they're being discriminated against to get more blacks and Hispanics. It's all right when there's somebody else that does not get to a certain place, that is denied a promotion because of, quote unquote diversity. We got to get more LGBTQ, elemental P, X, Y, and Z. We got to get more blacks and browns. We got to get more women. It's all good when it's somebody else who suffers, but when it's you who suffers, now all of a sudden it's this whole big thing and it shouldn't be me. My rights shouldn't be violated. Oh, okay. It's funny how that works when you are the person who has to be getting a short end of the stick. But any other time when you feel like you're being discriminated against and you feel like you're not getting to a certain spot because you're a woman, then it's, well, I want to have what I want. I don't care what someone else loses. And quite frankly, the only reason, in my humble opinion, Rachel Nichols is even on ESPN is because of who she knows. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but at a certain point, it's not because of her talent. She wasn't a good fit anywhere. She wasn't a former athlete that people recognize. She was just a journalist like everybody else. When you tied into the scene to Diane Sawyer's deceased husband, who is your husband's father, out there in Hollywood, you can get these interviews, you can get to certain places. It's not even about your relatability on camera to the audience. It's not about what we think. It's not about having a good show or anything like that. It's about these ABC, ESPN, Disney executives making decisions, trying to get money, trying to please people, trying to scratch backs and give paybacks and do nepotism and things of that nature. Same thing with Jeopardy. Is Jeopardy on ABC? I'm not really sure. But the funniest thing about that was it was this whole big thing online to get LeVar Burton in there. Now, people said LeVar Burton didn't do a great job. I didn't really see him. I saw him a couple times. I mean, he did okay. But how hard is it to just read questions and say you got it or you didn't get it? How hard is that really? Or pardon me, read answers. You understand what I'm saying? But how hard is that job really? They could have just put him in there and said, okay, cool. We got LeVar Burton, black male. The crowd wants it. We got diversity. Great. But you have an executive over at this, at Jeopardy, who put himself in the hosting position, and then he gets found out to be involved in some Me Too stuff. I mean, but you know what? Again, when you live by the woke sword, you die by the woke sword. When you want to engage in wokeness as a whole company, as a corporation, that the very same wokeness you want to use to market yourself, to brand yourself, to put all of your proverbial eggs into that basket. When you want to do that, it's easy for that exact same thing you use to promote yourself. It's easy for that thing to be used against you in a negative way. That's how it happens. This is why Rachel Nichols is probably not going to be on ESPN anymore. Early, her contract has another year on it, as far as I know. And I guess it's going to be kind of her early release. If you're not going to be on any more NBA programming, that's what you did. If your show, The Jump, has been canceled, what are they going to do with you for the remainder of the year? Put you on the bench, might even give you a payout and just let you go. And then where's she going to go? Is she going to go to Fox Sports 1? I don't think so. Woke warrior trying to attack men because of Me Too stuff with no proof of anything that happened. So where are you going to go? Do a podcast? I suppose so. Wherever she goes, I don't want to see her. But as I close, I want to say this. This is the end result of woke culture. If you engage in it, don't be surprised when it's used against you whenever it's convenient. Get better and tighten up. Then maybe I'll watch you. But for now, I think I'm pretty much good. I'm just glad that she's not there, although I'm not going to watch the network anyway. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Rachel Nichols not being on ESPN anymore, at least for the time being? Whatever thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know how I feel about it. I say it's about time, finally. But there is much more that ESPN needs to do to become relevant again. I saw that Stephen A. was successfully able to get Max Kellerman off of his show, finally, about time, because he wasn't a good fit either. Stephen A. is all that ESPN has. That's their only talent. People can say he screams too much, he's loud, all this and that, but the reality is there's somebody else but him. He's it. Try and get some more talent. Try and cultivate actual talent on the network rather than trying to play the nepotism game that she knows this person, she knows that person, she's this race, she's this. Rather than trying to play that game, play the let's get some actual on-air talent game like how it was back in the day. This new woke ESPN, this Disney, Bob Iger ESPN is trash. And it's been like that for many years. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.